Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've ever watched your automated trading bot absolutely self-destruct, stubbornly buying the dip while the market structure shifts and your account just, plummets to zero, you already know the fatal flaw of standard crypto bots. They are rigid. But today, we're dissecting a fascinating piece of financial architecture called Hivenance that fixes this. It uses a multi-agent protocol, basically a deliberative swarm, to prevent those catastrophic failures. Let's dive right into how this actually works. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We're covering 1. The single strategy flaw. 2. Swarm architecture and consensus. 3. Regimes and dynamic selection. 4. Smart routing and execution. 5. Defending capital with risk. And 6. Agent staking and accountability. Let's get going. Section 1. The single strategy flaw, why retail bots fail. Picture this. You've got a standard retail trading bot running, and it's built on what we call single strategy conviction. Let's say it's aggressively buying based on just one isolated indicator. Now, when the market is trending beautifully, the bot is making you money. Great, right? But then, bam, an abrupt macroeconomic event hits. The market flips from a clean trend into this violent, unpredictable chop. Because your legacy bot relies on that one isolated indicator, it just keeps blindly buying. It has literally no idea the market structure has shifted and your capital is rapidly eroded. Hivenance tackles this using Byzantine fault tolerance. That's a fancy way of saying the system demands multiple, diverse strategies actually agree before it takes any action, which heavily hedges against those localized logic failures. So why do these standard retail bots fail so spectacularly when market structures shift? Well, it's simple, really. They lack the structural flexibility to account for tail risks. They optimize for ease of setup rather than runtime correctness. They are essentially totally blind to context. The gap between these old systems and Hivenance is massive, where simple bots are totally static. The Hivenance swarm is continuously checking the market across multiple timeframes. Where simple bots rely on zero deliberation, the swarm uses a quorum-based strategy council. Instead of just running stateless code, it demands economic accountability via financial staking. And instead of a basic stop loss, it deploys a massive, multi-layered risk stack. It's just a completely different paradigm that's optimized entirely for execution security. Moving on to Section 2, Swarm Architecture and Consensus, Anatomy of a Trade. Okay, this right here is the core of the machine. It's a 21-agent architecture that orchestrates a strict 7-step decision lifecycle. It all kicks off with data ingestion from multiple sources. That data gets passed to the regime oracle to figure out the market weather. From there, parallel strategy workers generate independent proposals. But, and this is absolutely key, they do not act alone. They have to debate these proposals in Step 4 at the Strategy Council to reach a consensus. If they agree, the trade goes to governments for scoring, faces a rigorous swarm guard risk veto, and only then does it reach Step 7, execution. Your capital is never deployed unless it survives every single one of those checkpoints. You can really think of the Strategy Council like a rigorous corporate boardroom. You've got parallel strategy workers representing completely different indicators. So an SMA worker, an RSI worker, a breakout worker, and a momentum worker. Now, if one worker suddenly yells buy but the others totally disagree, the system just recognizes it as isolated signal noise, and the consensus gate rejects it outright, no trade. But when those diverse technical perspectives actually align and the quorum is met, the trade gets the green light. The protocol mathematically filters out the noise by demanding this multi-agent consensus before risking a single dollar of your money. Now, even if the council agrees, the trade isn't fully approved yet. It goes to the governance queen. She acts as the final arbiter by calculating the sovereign validation score, or SVS. Essentially, she's looking at the market regime, execution quality, and historical performance to determine if the signal is actually viable. The queen demands a strict minimum score of 0.35. This is absolutely crucial because it cleanly decouples the signal generation from the actual capital allocation. It ensures your risk management is never compromised by an overly enthusiastic, trigger-happy bot. Okay, Section 3, Regimes and Dynamic Selection, Checking the Market Weather. Let's talk about the regime oracle. Think of it like a highly sophisticated weather radar. It's continually classifying the market into different states, like trend up, chop range, or panic volatile. And it's checking the 1-minute, 5-minute, and 1-hour charts all at the exact same time. So if a micro time frame signals a buy, but the macro 1-hour chart shows we are right in the middle of a hostile chop range storm, that signal is actively suppressed. It blocks the trade. This multi-time frame regime filtering is exactly what prevents that dreaded death by a thousand cuts that completely bleeds automated systems dry and sideways markets. And the swarm doesn't just casually watch the weather, it actively hunts for the best conditions. Every 10 minutes, there's this tireless automated loop powered by the coin selector and market data agents that reevaluates every single tradable symbol. It's specifically looking to ensure there's a minimum 24-hour volume of at least 100K, and it monitors for a maximum acceptable spread of 0.03. The swarm is completely self-adapting, optimizing its opportunity set continuously, all without any human intervention required. Let's look at Section 4, Smart Routing and Execution, Venue-Agnostic Deployments.
This is where venue-agnostic deployment really shines. The OpenClaw agent receives the approved trade and immediately checks the environment. Let's say it wants to execute on-chain, maybe on base L2 via the 1inch API. But what if gas fees have suddenly skyrocketed, or decentralized liquidity has completely dried up? OpenClaw doesn't just fail and give up. It automatically falls back to centralized exchanges like Kraken or Binance. It's one single automated framework that seamlessly bridges DeFi and centralized liquidity, ensuring your trade actually executes even when the blockchain is heavily congested.
On to Section 5, Defending Capital with Risk, the Ultimate Floor. Before a transaction is ever signed, it must survive the swarm guard. Picture a heavy-duty factory conveyor belt with 5 mandatory non-discretionary validation gates. First up, a liquidity cap limits the order size relative to real-time market depth. Second, a spread veto automatically cancels the order if the bid/ask spread is predatory. Then, a fee buffer ensures your expected profit actually outweighs the gas costs. Finally, rate limits and the consensus gate make sure the order flow isn't toxic. This impenetrable pre-trade defense stops fat finger errors and predatory pricing dead in their tracks. But what about black swan events? That is exactly where the kill switch comes in. This is a global, systemic circuit breaker. It monitors 4 hard stop triggers: an absolute minimum equity floor, a maximum drawdown percentage, consecutive daily losses, and sequential bad trades. If literally any of these are breached, the system halts. All trading activity is suspended immediately, and auto restarts are strictly forbidden until a manual forensic review is conducted. It provides the ultimate, unbreakable mathematical equity floor for your portfolio. Finally, Section 6, Agent Staking and Accountability, Skin in the Game. This is the final Darwinian piece of the puzzle. The crucial point here is that traditional trading bots are just stateless code. They have absolutely no memory of their past failures, and they suffer 0 consequences for making bad predictions. Hivenance changes this entirely, which is a major evolutionary leap. It forces its own internal software agents to put literal skin in the game, transforming passive code into financially accountable, outcome-invested entities. Here's how that accountability actually works through the Buzz service. When an agent proposes a trade, it has to lock a stake of its own internal tokens. If the trade outcome is profitable, the tokens are released, and the agent is credited with more, which increases its voting weight for future trades. But if the trade is toxic and loses money, the agent is slashed. Its tokens are permanently burned. It is literally the algorithmic equivalent of getting fired. If an agent consistently generates bad signals, it's economically sidelined way before it can deplete your real portfolio equity. It's a measurable, auditable cost for poor logic. So, knowing the absolute fragility of single strategy conviction, the vital necessity of regime awareness, and the incredible power of financial accountability, you have to ask yourself, how would your current automated tools survive the next major market microstructure shift? The Hivenance protocol makes a pretty undeniable case that the future of resilient execution isn't just about building a smarter algorithm, it's about building a deliberative, accountable swarm. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the architecture behind the algorithms.